The first 72 hours. Why preppers fail before day 3. So, you've got a year's worth of food stacked to the ceiling. Water filters that could turn a puddle of mud into Evian. Your bug-out bag is so perfect, it's the envy of your entire online prepper forum. So, why is it that in a real crisis, you'd probably be one of the first to fold, likely before the 72-hour mark? Look, it's not your gear that's going to fail you. It's your own mind. There's a deadly mix of psychological breakdown and simple, practical mistakes that most preppers are completely blind to. In this video, we're going to drag the 5 critical failure points out into the light, the ones designed to break you in those first 3 days, and I'll show you exactly how to bulletproof yourself against them. That 72-hour window, it's the great filter. Experts agree that the first 3 days after a disaster are the most chaotic and dangerous. Public services are overwhelmed, the power grid is down, and confusion is king. This isn't some far-off doomsday movie. It's the reality we see with every hurricane, blackout, or societal tremor. Most people, even dedicated preppers, have no real grasp of what this period truly feels like. They've stockpiled things, but they haven't prepared for the moment their beautiful plans get punched in the mouth by reality. The truth is, your organized shelves and top-tier gear mean nothing if you can't think straight. This isn't about having a plan. It's about what happens when that plan gets blown to pieces in the first 3 hours. It's about the 1-2 punch of a mind that freezes up and a body that breaks down because you skipped the absolute basics. Today, we're not just talking about gear. We're getting into the mechanics of failure. We're breaking down the 5 fatal flaws engineered to take you out of the game before you even get a chance to play. The first flaw: the adrenaline crash and decision paralysis. The first hit doesn't come from outside, it comes from within you. The second a crisis kicks off, your body unleashes a fire hose of adrenaline. Your heart hammers, your senses go into overdrive. You feel like you can take on the world. But here's the catch. That feeling is a biological loan, and the payback is a monster. What comes after the surge is the crash. And with that crash comes a deep, terrifying brain fog. This isn't just feeling stressed out. This is full-blown decision paralysis. Survivors of countless disasters all say the same thing. The first thing to go isn't your supplies, it's your ability to think. Psychologists have a term for it, but all it means is that your brain short circuits. People just freeze, or they wander around doing normal things like nothing's wrong. You're standing in a basement full of gear, but you can't decide what to do first. Your mind is screaming with 1,000 what-ifs, but you can't grab onto a single concrete action. Every prepper with a 3-ring binder of plans pictures themselves as a cool, calculated operator. But let's be real. No one's whipping out a binder to read Chapter 3 during an earthquake. If those plans aren't drilled into muscle memory, they're just paper. This is where the gear-obsessed prepper eats it. They think owning the tool is the solution. But what good is a tourniquet if your hands are shaking so bad you can't even open the wrapper? What good is your radio plan if you're too panicked to turn the damn thing on? Stress destroys fine motor skills and makes your brain slow to a crawl. The plan fails because the operator fails. The fix is mental inoculation. You have to expose yourself to stress in a controlled way before the real deal. It's why soldiers and first responders drill endlessly. They aren't just practicing skills, they're conditioning their minds to work under fire. You have to do the same. Take your gear out and use it when you're cold, tired, and hungry. Time yourself. Make simple, immediate action checklists for the first 30 minutes of a crisis. What is the absolute first thing you do? Lock the doors? Fill tubs with water? Get a head count of your family. This shouldn't take a single thought. It should be automatic. And for God's sakes, designate a leader beforehand. When things go sideways, a leadership vacuum just creates more chaos. Having one person pre-assigned to make the initial calls can cut right through the panic. The goal isn't to get rid of fear, it's to learn how to function with it. You do that by turning your plans into automatic reflexes. Stop planning to be a hero. Train to be a robot for the first hour. That's how you survived the first flaw. The second flaw, the dehydration spiral. Everyone in this community can recite the rule of threes: 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter in bad conditions, 3 days without water. We say it like a prayer, but knowing the rule and truly respecting it are two very different things. In the chaos of the first 72 hours, the silent killer that makes every other problem 10 times worse is dehydration. You can technically survive for about 3 days without water, but you stop functioning long before that. Within the first 24 hours it starts. A dull headache, fatigue, you get cranky. Your body is losing water faster than you're putting it back, especially when you're stressed. By the 48-hour mark, you're confused and making bad judgment calls. This is the dehydration spiral. The brain fog from the adrenaline crash is now being amplified by a brain that's physically starving for water. You can't think clearly. You make simple, catastrophic mistakes. That little headache on day 1 becomes the reason you forget to lock a door on day 2. The failure isn't a lack of stored water. Most preppers have that covered. The failure is in the plan. It's assuming your grid-down water strategy will just work. Maybe you plan to filter water from a nearby creek, but is that creek even reachable? Is it contaminated with chemicals your filter won't touch? Did you account for the energy and risk of leaving your safe location to get it? So many people have a 55-gallon drum in the basement, but no ready-to-drink water for the first 24 to 48 hours. This forces them to try and execute a complex plan while they're already in physical and mental decline. They have a long-term solution, but no bridge to get there. The solution is a tiered water plan. Think of it in layers. Tier 1, immediate access. This is non-negotiable. You need a bare minimum of 1 gallon of clean, drinkable water per person per day for at least 3 days, stored where you can grab it instantly. For a family of 4, that's 12 gallons. This is your buffer. This is the water you sip on while you calmly get your Tier 2 plan going. Tier 2, on-site purification. This is your main plan after the buffer. This means having a high-quality water filter, like a Berkey or Sawyer, and knowing how to use it blindfolded. It means a plan to get water on your property, rainwater catchment, a swimming pool, something. Have you actually filtered gross pond water with your setup? Have you practiced it? If not, you don't have a plan. You have a wish. Tier 3, mobile and redundant. This is your backup's backup. What if you have to leave? Your bug-out bag needs a portable filter, like a Sawyer Mini or a Life Straw, and a metal bottle to boil water in. Boiling is the old-school, foolproof method that works when your fancy filter clogs or breaks. Water isn't just a resource. It's the fuel for your brain. Botching your water plan is the fastest way to make every other prep you own totally useless. You'll fail because you can no longer think. The third flaw, the illusion of the lone wolf. There's a dangerous fantasy running wild in the prepper world, the myth of the lone wolf. The idea that one rugged individual with a cool backpack and a steely gaze can survive the end of the world all by themselves. This isn't just wrong, it's a recipe for a very short, very miserable survival story. Humans are social animals. We survive in groups, period. Thinking you can go it alone is one of the most common and fatal mistakes a prepper can make. In a real grid-down crisis, your phone becomes a brick. The internet vanishes. You are instantly and totally cut off. That isolation doesn't just breed fear and paranoia. On a practical level, it makes you a target. If you get sick or injured, who's got your back? Who watches the perimeter while you sleep? You can't maintain 360-degree security 24/7. It's impossible. Eventually, you have to close your eyes. The mistake here is confusing self-reliance with self-isolation. Preppers will drop thousands on gear, but won't invest 5 minutes in their most valuable asset, their community. They own a ham radio, but have never even said hi to their next-door neighbor. When disaster hits, They're an island, and islands get swallowed by the tide. Study after study of real disasters shows the same thing. The people who do best aren't the lone wolves. They're the tight-knit neighborhoods, families, and groups that pool their resources, share information, and have each other's backs. The solution is to build your team before you need it. Trust isn't something you can grab off a shelf in an emergency. You have to build it now. First, your inner circle, your family. Does your spouse actually know the plan, or did you just tell them about it? Do your kids know what to do? You need a family emergency plan that is practiced, with rally points and ways to communicate. Second, your comms plan needs to be layered and realistic. Primary, cell phones, but assume they'll be useless. Secondary, GMRS or ham radios. But have you and your group actually set a schedule, like we check in on channel 5 at the top of every hour? If not, your radio's just a heavy rock. Tertiary, a physical meeting place, and a backup to that backup. Quaternary, a hidden spot, a dead drop, where you can leave messages if all else fails. Third, look outside your immediate family. Get to know your neighbors. You don't have to show them your basement pantry, but you can build goodwill, help them with a project, organize a neighborhood watch. In a crisis, the neighbor you loaned a lawnmower to is a lot less likely to be a threat and a lot more likely to be an ally. Stop romanticizing the lone wolf. It's a movie trope that will get you killed. The ultimate survival tool is a network of trusted people. Build it. All right, we're hitting on some hard truths today, and if you're getting value out of this, do me a solid and hit that like button. It helps the channel out a ton. Now, I want to hear from you. Down in the comments, let me know which of these flaws you think is the most overlooked in the community. The mental game, the water plan, or the lone wolf myth. Let's get a real discussion going. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more real-world strategy that goes beyond the gear. Okay, let's get back to it. The fourth flaw, the open pantry problem. Okay, so you survive the initial shock. You have water, you've linked up with your group. Now a new quieter threat shows up, the slow bleed of your own resources. I call it the open pantry problem. It's the failure to lock down your resource management and operational security, OPSEC, from hour one. This is how preppers with a year's worth of food can fail faster than someone with only a week's worth. Why? Because they act like they're rich in a world that just went broke. In the stress of the first few hours, it's human nature to want comfort. You cook a big, hot meal for the family. You leave all the lights on because the dark feels scary. You fire up the generator for a few hours just to feel normal again. Every single one of these actions is a massive mistake. You're burning through food, fuel, and batteries like there's no tomorrow. Worse, you're advertising. The smell of cooking food, the glow of a light in a window, the buzz of a generator. These are giant flashing signs that scream, "The prepared people live here, come and get it." Many preppers have a great long-term food supply, but no system to protect it from themselves. They think, "I've got plenty, I can afford it." That is a deadly assumption. The discipline you establish in the first 72 hours sets the tone for the entire crisis. If you start out being wasteful, it's almost impossible to enforce rationing later when morale is in the toilet and supplies are half gone. The solution is to act like it's day 100 on day 1. Discipline has to be instant and absolute. First, create a layered supply system. Your main long-term stash gets inventoried, locked up, and is considered off-limits for the first 3 days, maybe even longer. For the initial crisis, you live only out of your 72-hour kits or a small pre-designated immediate-use pantry. This forces rationing from the get-go and protects your main supplies from the temptation of early stupid decisions. Your 72-hour kit isn't just for bugging out. It's a discipline tool for bugging in. Second, OPSEC protocols go into effect immediately. Blackout curtains on every window, no excuses. Strict noise discipline, especially after dark. All cooking should be done with low-odor foods and on fuel-efficient, discrete stoves. Firing up the backyard barbecue is basically sending up a flare for every desperate person in a 5-mile radius. Third, ration everything from the first minute. Food, water, fuel, batteries, toilet paper, everything. Create a daily budget and stick to it. This takes leadership, and it takes everyone in your group agreeing to it. It's a tough talk, but it's non-negotiable. The person with a mountain of supplies who wastes them is in a much worse spot than the person with a week's worth who uses them wisely. The open pantry problem is a failure of mindset, not a failure of inventory. It's the inability to switch from being a consumer to being a conservationist. Don't let your own abundance be the thing that takes you down. The fifth flaw, the shelter blind spot. It's the untested and often dangerous assumption you've made about where you'll be when things fall apart. The rule of threes is a good guideline here. You can survive only about 3 hours without shelter in a harsh environment. Exposure is a faster killer than thirst. But preppers get stuck in two main traps: the "I'll just bug in" and "I'll just bug out" fallacies. The bug-in prepper assumes their home is an invincible fortress. But what happens if the crisis makes your home unlivable? A house fire, a chemical spill, a flash flood, an earthquake. Suddenly, your bug-in plan is worthless, and you're thrown out into the chaos with no backup. Your castle just became a trap. On the other side, you have the bug-out prepper. They've got the perfect bag, a full tank of gas, and a spot picked out on a map, usually some national forest or piece of public land. The problem? 500,000 other people have the exact same idea. That quiet patch of woods becomes a chaotic, desperate, and dangerous refugee camp overnight. Without a pre-screened, secure, and supplied location, bugging out isn't a plan. It's just becoming a refugee with a really nice backpack. The failure is thinking you only need one plan. "I'll bug in" or "I'll bug out" is not a strategy. It's a coin toss. Real preparedness requires a flexible, layered approach. You need to think in terms of pace: primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. Primary plan, bugging in. This is always your best bet if your home is safe. It's where your stuff is. But a real bug-in plan isn't just about locking the doors. It means having a plan for sanitation when the toilets don't work, for staying warm without the grid, and for reinforcing your doors and windows. Alternate plan, bugging out to a vetted location. This is not the woods. This is the home of a relative in a safer town, a pre-stocked cabin, or some other piece of private property. This plan has to be coordinated. Do they know you might be coming? Is the location ready? You need to have multiple routes planned and actually drive them ahead of time. Contingency plan, your vehicle as shelter. If your home and your bug-out spot are both a no-go, your car or truck is your next best bet. It's hard-sided shelter from the elements. Your vehicle kit shouldn't just be jumper cables. It should be a lifeboat with blankets, food, water, and self-defense tools. Your shelter plan can't be a single idea. It has to be a flowchart of options. Assuming your house will be safe or the woods will be empty is a blind spot that will get you killed. So there they are, the 5 fatal flaws that are designed to break most preppers before they even see day 4. The adrenaline crash that freezes your mind. The dehydration spiral that shuts down your ability to think. The lone wolf illusion that gets you isolated and picked off. The open pantry problem that lets you waste your own lifeline. And the shelter blind spot that leaves you out in the cold. See the common thread? Not one of these is really about gear. They are failures of mindset, training, discipline, and community. You can't buy your way out of these problems. You have to train your way out. The first 72 hours are the ultimate test. They strip away everything that isn't practiced, everything that isn't essential, everything that isn't real. Your fancy rifle won't do you anything when you're paralyzed by panic. Your year's supply of food is worthless when you're too dehydrated to make a smart decision. And your perfect bug-out bag is just dead weight when you're freezing to death because your shelter plan was a complete fantasy.
So stop just collecting things and start collecting skills. Stop just planning for some distant apocalypse and start training for this Tuesday. Run a drill, test your gear, talk to your neighbor. Turn off your circuit breakers for a weekend and find out where your plan really breaks, because it's much better to fail in practice than to fail when it's real. When the time comes, those first 3 days will decide if you get to see day 4. Make sure you're ready. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're here to give you the strategies you need to be truly ready. Stay safe and stay prepared.